How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. Just here in the Conscious Campaign headquarters. Feels good to be alive. Unfortunately, it's 90 degrees in Tacoma. That's a little rough.
100 degrees in here, jeez.
I don't know. It's a little rough when there's no AC anywhere, but yeah, doing great.
Awesome. So, if you had to describe yourself, man, who would you say Jordan Cooper is?
Honestly, I'd say I'm a soul singer and blues guitarist from Tacoma, Washington. I've always had a passion for music, even from 5th grade when I started out playing trumpet. I ended up getting bumped up to 7th grade jazz band because of my teacher, Mr. Bradley, who was a UK musician, and he had an astounding ear. He always kept pushing me, and before you know it, music became a huge part of my life since I was a kid going to Narrowsview.
Wow. Was 5th grade when you knew that you wanted to pursue music as your career?
No, not even close. It's kind of funny. It wasn't until recently, after I graduated from high school and got my diploma, that it really hit me. What am I doing with my life? Where am I going? And where do I want to be? I think the first time it really hit me that it was something I wanted to do for real was when I was dating my high school sweetheart. She convinced me to get an acoustic guitar. Of course, it's always the acoustic guitar. I wanted to shred playing metal solos. You know what I'm saying? I just wanted to do arpeggios and pretty much sound like Yngwie Malmsteen. Just play crazy melodic shred metal, but that wasn't really who I ever was. And because of her, I started writing, doing some singer-songwriter acoustic work, and before you know it, once I hit about 18, I wanted to take it to the next level. I don't really know what it was, but I do know that the blues was always secretly there in the shadows, just waiting to come out and hit me in the face. And it came full force when I moved down to Florida. When I moved down south to find who I was, and then again where I wanted to be and where I was going in the direction of music, it hit me that I needed to remove myself before I could look in at myself. And that's when it dawned on me. I'm a blues man. And that's really what it came down to. I had to leave the area and get a little taste of life and travel to figure out what I really wanted and how it was going to affect my style of playing.
So would you say that your inspiration comes from traveling? Would you say it comes from blues? Where does your inspiration stem from?
Well, growing up, my mom trapped me in her brand new shiny red V-dub Jetta, and man, she loved cruising down the straight. She didn't care what the speed limit was. And she would crank up stuff like Lenny Kravitz, Celine Dion, bluesier stuff like Melissa Etheridge, even all the way to Dave Matthews Band and Bonnie Raitt. And I had no idea at the time, when I was 5 or 6 maybe, living in a small town of maybe 800, 900 in Wrightsville, PA. But growing up in a small town, I wouldn't say there's a lot of inspiration. It's nice when you're older, but when you're younger, you want something exciting. You want some fast-paced plan of action and a course to go down. And I'd say a lot of my inspiration has to do with my past. Because when I was younger, my parents really drilled music into me, whether they knew it or not. My pops listened to anything from Michael Jackson, Thriller, all the way to Metallica, Black Album. So my parents' musical taste was all over the board. I'd really say, as I get older and I age, I'm really starting to be more inspired by the timeless stuff, like the classics, you know what I mean? Like Al Green, Ray Charles, Stevie Wonder, all the way to bluesy stuff like Stevie Ray Vaughan, which has a huge, tremendous influence on my really percussive, aggressive blues fingerstyle picking, as well as Junior Kimbrough and John Lee Hooker, you know. It's just like, it's, even if you're a part of the younger generation, you know, we're considered millennials, and a lot of us can still find a new way to appreciate something that the baby boomers used to love. And a lot of that inspiration is starting to finally come full circle. It's a really cool thing.
That is cool. So you kind of began this like musical journey of self-discovery in your late teen years, and then more so after you graduated from high school. Now, tell me how you got from graduating from high school to where you're at now. Got a bunch of projects going on. You're a busy guy.
That's a big gap, my friend. But I'll tell you one thing. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't a hell of a journey. It's been something amazing. When I moved down to Florida, I actually did become a born-again Christian. And that's something that I never knew was going to happen. Can't really ask for something like that to happen. But because that did happen, I don't know, over time I just started to change. Physically, spiritually. I started being more open, caring about things a little bit more, meeting really cool people. I mean, we already, you know...
more acquaintances than anything else, though, yeah.
We were still always behind the scenes, good buds, you know, you, me, and Shane, in, what was that, guitar? It was...
men's choir, man.
Men's choir that we turned into guitar class. That's what it was.
Yeah, we did, yeah.
With Mr. Dickerson. Good old Mr. Dick.
Oh,
good
wow.
times. But to answer your question, after all of that happened, I realized that the journey was about self-discovery and personal growth. I realized I was stuck in a rut and I was going nowhere fast. I was a dishwasher for a couple years out of high school. That's where the journey began. Right out of high school, I was working. I mean, I've been working the last 7 years, from 18 to 25 now, and it's only getting busier and busier. But what really dawned on me is that I wasn't making any progress. I wanted to move forward. I didn't want to take one step forward and one step back. I want to take 3 jumps forward and 1 small step backward. And that's where things have gone now. After I was born again, things started to change. I feel like the right people were put into my life and I didn't have to do a thing about it. And that's when things start getting crazy, because you go, well, what is this thing called faith? And it's just leaving things to the unknown and keep pressing it and hitting the grind every day. No matter what, knowing in the back of your mind, I don't know how I'm going to get to the destination, but I'm on the road and we're going to get there. Who cares? Let's enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
And that's really where this path has taken me. After washing dishes and moving down to Florida and things changed, I realized I wanted to move back. And it was after I had started playing a bunch of shows around Ocala. Everybody up here calls it Ocala. The great city of Ocala. But it was like I was in this tiny little nowhere town, Denellen, on the outside of Ocala. And there were these sweet little venues, man. Like a rooftop bar I played. They had like these stringed lights, just that modern feel. Everybody was drinking on the roof. And what really stuck with me is every time I play something bluesy, everybody would stop what they're doing as soon as I'm just thumping the guitar. Or even like my new single, Voodoo. As soon as you get something that makes them feel like you're in the room with them, which is what blues is all about. It's in the moment, it's in your face, and it can't be tamed. You can't ignore it. You might not like it, but it's in your face and you gotta respect it. And everybody, I kid you not, on the rooftop bar, they would put their drinks down, they would look me dead in the eye, and then you felt that spiritual connection. And it's the coolest thing in the world, because I remember shows where I'm playing for 8 people in the crowd, and people are just there for a quick shot, and then they're hitting the real bars.
Yeah.
You know? So going from small time venues in Puyallup, like this place I played at called Shots Bar and Grill, I remember playing this little Christmas show. I didn't even have a Christmas song on the set.
You played a Christmas show with no Christmas songs.
No, we don't need them. We don't need them. And at the time, I only had a couple of my own originals, and everything was just covers. And it dawned on me, what people really want to hear is they want to hear that raw, original material, and they want it untamed. They want to see someone on stage like Jack White, who's just going crazy up on stage. His hair's flying. There's sweat everywhere. Even like Robert Plant from Zeppelin, man. Yeah. They're just all over the place. Even if you ain't into the music, that's okay. If you're still there, you buy a ticket. Your buddy's like, I got an extra ticket. You want to go with me? If you go to that show, you're going to be going away saying, bro, I'm coming back again. Because that's what the blues is all about. But it's cool, man. It's been a long, long journey. The best thing I ever did was move back. When I moved back towards Tacoma and Seattle for the first time in 3 years back in 2015, that's when the music really started happening. That's where the magic was there. I could feel it. My playing style had changed. My confidence grew, playing a bunch of shows down south. And I came back a new man. It was awesome.
So you mentioned this musical journey that you're on, and you mentioned that you don't know how long it's going to take you to get there, you don't know how you're going to get there, but you want to enjoy the journey along the way. But where's there? Like, what would be the musical summit of your career?
Honestly, though it might seem a little cliche, I think it's here right now, even just in this interview. I wouldn't even have imagined myself at 18 looking at my 25-year-old self in the face saying, dude, you're gonna be doing big things here in about the next 6-7 years. Just keep working your butt off. The musical summit to me is not only being in the moment and enjoying the things while they're happening, just sitting here picking up, your lukewarm Americano and just having a sip and enjoying. Oh, got that everywhere. It's just, we have to realize that while we're trying to get somewhere, I think it's okay to look back at where you just came from. They say full steam ahead, don't look back. I constantly look back at the silver lining of who I used to be. The most exciting thing for me is if I was 18 again and I looked into the future and I was talking to myself, I would be so ecstatic to see the music that I'm writing right now. I didn't even know I was going to go in this direction, blues and soul. But it's so much fun, and the writing process is just so out there and eccentric, but it's a great time. I'd say the very top of the summit for me would just be traveling. Whether it's in the States, whether it's overseas, no matter which of the 7 continents we're going to be on, I want to hit them all. And to me, the summit really would just even be being able to tour around the US. That would be okay with me. That would be good enough. I want us to keep pushing forward. I see the Jordan Cooper team, especially the Conscious campaign, making really big advancements here in the nearest future. But at the end of the day, you just got to remember what's important, and that is where you came from. So the top of the summit might be the best view and you might get the best picture, but really for me the fun was the climb to the top. That's what's important. So just little things like being here, having my favorite guitarist sitting next to me, talking to a good buddy from high school, being around good people. Honestly, I don't know if there is a summit for me, because everything I'm doing, I'm enjoying it, and we're doing it. We're doing more than others have done. More than probably all my other buddies who said they were going to make it big have done. A lot of them just gave up. So to me, I'm already here.
You mentioned your writing process. What is your writing process?
It's a damn mess is what it is. Honestly, my writing process consists of folding laundry and driving. Then again, I wouldn't say I'm the average artist. For me, my creativity flows best, and I know a lot of people, even Stephen King, say, sit down, force yourself to work, make it a job, and you're going to produce a lot of material. It don't work like that for me. And granted, I know what his rebuttal would be. He would say, well, shut up and sit down and get a piece of paper and pen out. And I get it. There is a professional business side to it. You got to work hard. If I wasn't working hard, none of this could have been possible. However, on the flip side, the people that come into your life, you can't force that, and it happens naturally. So is it with music. Sometimes with the writing process, it's a mix of both. I'd say it's 50-50. You gotta sit down on some days, plan it out. Get a little notebook, that little black notebook, writing all your schedule down, make sure that you have everything set in stone, and then you do it. You force yourself to do it. There are other days I'm driving and, oh, dude, that is such a sick melody. Or I get this way cool lyric in my head, like for one of the lyrics for the start of my song that has been unreleased yet, to be released. It's called Help Us to Love. There was a huge metamorphosis from the way it started to the way it ended. I never would have imagined that we took a song originally called Ode to Death, which was kind of a revamp of a concept from Ralph Stanley, an Appalachian mountain singer, who was talking about death coming one night in physical body and shape, knocking on your door and saying it's time to die, because sometimes that happens in life. But it was a whimsical, kind of interesting take on it. And it went from something really bluesy and southern influence to a really good feel-good message, The start of it kind of goes like this. It has like that. And some of this. Just like that raw southern grit that you never hear or see up here in the PNW. And the writing process was off the chain for that song. It was really eccentric. It started from something really serious and kind of deep. And then before you know it, I'm sitting there folding laundry at work one day, and then the lyrics hit me. Oh my God, help us to love. It's just sometimes stuff gets so old. You're doing the same old, and you're just like, oh my God, when does it end? Lord help me. You got Joe Blow over here telling me something to do. You got Jack Off Randy behind you.
Hate that guy.
I hate that guy. Telling you to get out of the middle of the road when it's your right of way. And it's just like, can't we all just work together? can't I just walk down the street and be like, hey, I saw dude, and then guy over here is like, what's up, man? I feel you, bro. Why can't it be more feel good and just having a good time and helping people to love? So that's really what the song turned into. Long story short, the writing process has a lot to do with getting out there, being active. A lot of my inspiration for my writing process comes from hiking, surfing, camping, being out there in the wilderness and being one with nature and having a good time with your buds. You know, that's where a lot of the writing process comes in. The other half of it, the not so fun stuff, you do have to sit down with a piece of paper and a pen and you just got to write it out and have a good time with it. Even if it's something that makes no sense, my style really comprises of writing down all my ideas, no matter how ridiculous or random. And then what I'll do is I'll come back, I'll create a concept after I've written the lyrics. After I have the concept for the song, you know, help us to love. Mm-hmm. Okay, you need to go back to that original idea, which is somebody please help us how to get along and not just put up with each other, but actually love your brother, love your sister. Like, hey, how's it going, Camden? Care. Yeah. Give someone a hug and actually mean it, not that fake Seattle cold shoulder like, oh, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Oh, I gotta put up with you for 15 more minutes. And then you're on your phone. You know, so a lot of the writing process has to do with being physically active. Always bring your cell phone. If you don't have your cell phone and that dies, that little black notebook, write stuff down.
Absolutely.
Tell me your thoughts on face tattoos.
Love them. Actually, don't tell anyone, but I killed a guy and I'm about to get a teardrop right there, bro. Face tattoos. I think that's a better question to ask my boy Post Malone. Cause he loves face tattoos, man. He loves them face tattoos. You know what's funny? I don't have a single tattoo. It's funny, I go on a first date, talking to girls who like, it's one of the first questions, I don't know why, but they always ask, so, what tattoos do you have? And I go, do you put a bumper sticker on a Cadillac? I don't know. And it's funny, I just say that to get a rise out of people. I think tattoos look awesome, but on other people. Maybe one day, like, I'll get a tattoo just in general. I've always thought forearm tattoos look cool. Even like, I think it looks kind of cool on dudes, but it is more like a feminine thing, I guess. But I always love that, like that little, maybe like a cursive writing on the finger. If it's a dude, like a mustache, that looks sweet. Face tattoos.
Please get a mustache tattooed onto your finger.
Yes.
Please do.
I'd say in terms of face tattoos, you probably won't be seeing me get barbed wire across my forehead anytime soon. But I'm thinking about some like Marilyn Manson guy liner permanently tattooed around my eye.
Permanently.
I think that looks sweet. Nah, dude, I could never. I would look terrible with a face tattoo. I don't know. The closest I would ever go to a face tattoo would maybe be like doing something like right here on the side of my neck. My sister, when I was younger, she got a tattoo in Reno, and she's like, "Okay, it's your turn." And I'm like, never mind, I don't want a tattoo anymore. She got so pissed because she said I was good. I'm gonna get little brother and Chinese down here, and you're gonna get big sister right here. I couldn't do it. I just didn't want it.
Oh, jeez, man. Way to turn on your sister, bro.
I know. Yeah. See, that's why if you're doing tattoos, always make the other person go first.
All right. Okay. So you've got some big things happening later this year, and
yeah, for sure.
I know we're not going to get into it in this interview. It's for later. But
behind the scenes,
what would you say the term? What does it mean to you for somebody to have a moral compass? What does that look like?
I'd say with a moral compass, I actually looked up the definition. A moral compass is the definity between right and wrong and using your knowledge to figure out which you're going to choose. Act accordingly. Honestly, I call it BS. When it comes to a moral compass, for me what it was, and what it still is a spiritual guide that leads you down the path to personal growth, like we covered earlier. A moral compass gives a person the opportunity for the first time in their life to change. Not because your girlfriend says, I want you to do the dishes. Not because your parents say, I want you to be a rock star. Not because your dad says, I want you doing track and field in high school. A moral compass don't tell you who you have to be. It gives you the opportunity to choose. Are you going to go down that path, or are you going to be a coward and turn back? And I turned back many a time, and then it finally hit me. I need to get up, get out, and move. That was my moral compass, moving down south, and that's when things really connected with me. I think that a moral compass is kind of like having a kid. Things change once you give birth, and it gives you that opportunity to be better than you were.
So, lastly, you have several guitars.
Too many. It's an addiction. It's bad.
Which one is your favorite to play, and why?
Well, if I was talking to Dr. Phil, he said I should really dial it down to one. So I picked one out of my 5, which I really shouldn't own that many. I have 4 acoustics, 1 electric, and I'm planning on getting a jazz arch top electric, and that should pretty much do it for me. But that's what they all say. My favorite guitar is this one right here. Her name is Kenna. She's my baby. The reason it's my favorite is because she's got all rosewood back and sides. It's got like a polyurethane coating to protect it because I'm really rough on my guitars, especially when I'm playing. I'm always tapping with my long Edward Scissorhand nails so I can actually play fingerstyle. But I'm always tapping down on it, and it was getting to the point where I was getting all these choppy finger markings, and I was tearing up the guitar. So it got to the point where I had to get this custom paisley leather pick guard from this way cool guy down in Oregon who does custom work. It's pretty much set up exactly how I want it. I mean, it's like the perfect guitar. You have a mahogany neck, like honestly, just feel the neck. Woo! And then just kind of like just grip it. Just humor me.
Yeah.
I know, it feels like real wood because it is. It's 100% mahogany, and it feels amazing. Honestly, all this stuff at the top, I wanted some really gritty, bare bones kind of look.
So you got real bones.
So I got this is real coyote bone, fam. I know, for real. But I just wanted something that had a little bit more character and personality. And to me, this looked like a traveler's guitar, almost like a gypsy guitar. And something that had a little bit of bluesy. Just that bare bones, gritty kind of tone to it. It has the best of both worlds. It has clarity on the low end, so I can slam that down when I'm doing the finger picking stuff, which is what I do a lot. And it has a really nice... just a really nice high end. I use a lot of low end and high end for Delta blues. I don't really need a lot of the middle. So for me, this is the perfect guitar. It's even got an STR system. It's got like a tuner in it, and then shoot, I can even pop this sucker out, and then got fresh batteries right in the side.
Wow.
But this guitar's pretty much got the aesthetic, the sound, the feel. It's got everything. And when it comes to playing an instrument, especially going back to the creative process of writing, one of the most important things is feeling one with your instrument and picking up that instrument.
Yeah.
You have to feel like it's an extension of you. And to me, it feels like this is another limb. No joke, it's crazy. I always get off work, I always pick up the guitar, and I always end up writing something until late in the night. That's really the secret. You need an instrument that makes it feel like you guys are attached at the hip.
Well, there it is. Jordan Cooper's favorite guitar.
There you have it.
Hope you guys enjoyed the interview.
Thanks for having us.